Good evening. Well, guess what? This is what the yard is looking at like right now. So, as you saw from the pictures, we have trimmed the hedges and we're letting them grow a little bit higher. So, you'll see they're still some a bit higher up, but um, a lot was cut off. So, we're going to just build this hedge up a little bit. And this hibiscus at the end is starting to grow around, so you'll notice that this wasn't cut back, so it can grow in this area. This little flower bed that we took all the coleus out is now starting to come along nicely. Everything is getting some sun. And then the coleus, and excuse the hose, I've just finished watering and I haven't wound everything up yet, but the coleus are now starting to come along nicely that we transplanted into that garden. And I pulled one up by mistake, and there are roots. This is the double red hibiscus that has been cut back severely so that we can get some light into the center and to encourage nice thick growth. And then you see that the Rose of Sharon hibiscus has been cut back a bit as well. And then that has opened up the fairy pot that we now have a few things that are getting a bit more sun. Also for the pot where we have all of the pumpkins and squash, that now has a bit more light because we did cut back the coleus that's growing next to it. And then along this side it's all looking rather nice. We've cut back the dianthus in here, and we'll see how things come along. And then over here in this section, I haven't turned around the hydrangea yet, and I do need to start doing a fertilizing, and cleaned out the pot in here and cleaned up this corner a bit. You see I just watered, so the coleus hasn't perked up yet. And then in here, I've cleaned up some of the various sedum that we have and such. And so that's looking a bit neater. And then as we go out, this bed right here, we've cleaned that up a little bit as well. But you can see the gerbera daisies growing into the space that was once occupied by the Easter lilies. And then I'm going to cut back this coleus right now. I've picked it up off the ground and attached it to the grow house so that the items underneath it can get a little bit more light. As it goes for the plants in this area, I may have to reseed some of them because I think that some did dry out, but we do have a few things that have taken off. We do have some Rudbeckia over here. I think this is the cherry brandy. We have a few seedlings in there, and then I think we have some more down here, Rudbeckia. And then over here, I've just cleaned up again most of the items, and look how big. This was the mandarin orange that Seamus planted the seed, and it's grown quite a bit over the last couple of weeks. So then going over to this corner, all I've done is just cleaned up most of the pots. So we didn't do anything to this hibiscus yet, so that'll be the next thing that we need to edit a bit, because as you can see here, it's growing into the pawpaw. And until it gets a bit higher, we do need to make sure that gets some light, and what it's doing instead is shading out everything that is in this area. And just cleaned up this flower bed a bit, not anything added into it. We did add some coleus down here though, a few new pieces of coleus, like this one right here. That we need to allow to catch, and another piece over here in this corner because the small one that we put in there didn't get any water, so that died away, but this area is looking really nice. Indeed, I went in here this night to water, and I found a strawberry growing. So that's quite nice. And then we have some flowers on this cherry tomato. And then down here, I see we have some more milkweed growing. And the coleus is looking pretty good here as well. I planted some coleus in here yesterday, and it looks like we have a snail because that's where I planted it, and along with these two still exist. However, a really big piece has been taken out of that, so I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that. Cut back this lavender. Looks like I have a few more pieces to cut off. And then we have that's a rose of Sharon hibiscus white in the corner that we planted last Christmas. So that's finally coming along. And I've been taking some of the dead leaves off of the grapevine. But that's looking rather nice. And then the backyard looks really nice too. Remember yesterday you could barely walk through. There was just a walking path because the grass was so high. We haven't cut back the star jasmine yet, but we have cleaned up around this red leaf hibiscus, and I did edit this gara, so it looks like I have one more piece to take out, but I'll do that later. And then this bed a little bit cleaner, and we have another pincushion flower that's looking absolutely gorgeous. Over here we have a few coleus that are catching, so that's looking rather good. And then that's our new flower pot, and I have 3 coleus in that pot on the left, and on the right we have quite a bit of sedum. Over here I haven't done anything to edit this pot, but we do have one of the Brazilian jasmine coming out, so that looks really nice. Look how velvety red that is. And then over here, we can look out here for a second and see that we have spider lilies over the wall. And I need to clean up this one a bit because the geraniums had flowered and now look like we've them, but look at all of the portulaca just reaching out right now. And again, this one is cleaned up, and it looks like we have a couple of pincushion flowers that are getting ready to flower. And then over here, this is nice and clean, this flower bed. And we have some roses. Here's a rosebud coming up here. Isn't that adorable? And look at this rose. I think I better take a picture of this for the Instagram. Look at that, isn't that beautiful? And another one in the corner. And then this bed, the chickens got to it yesterday, so I've tried to save it. So you'll notice that most of the coleus is now propped up by stakes. And I've just cleaned this area up this afternoon, cut some of the overgrowth of the lantana. Oh look, we have a lizard. Here we go. Hi, lizard. And looks like both the Luna hibiscus and the chrysanthemums are reaching out to get more sun. And then finally, that's looking much better with some water. Look at that. And then over here, we just have such a flush of bougainvillea with that pink blush, which is just so beautiful. And here the tree frogs. It's